Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday Workshop with Sew Uncommon. I'm Diana. I'm the founder of Sew Uncommon in the Build a Quilt system, and we're thrilled to have you with us today for Wednesday Workshop because this week it's all about spring cleaning. So we just entered into spring, right? Just a couple weeks ago, it officially became spring. And for me, that is the beginning of the new year, as it were, for cleaning and maintaining my machines. Okay, so I thought it would be a good time to share that with you all. Hang on, I've got a fingerprint on my glasses. Thought I had a spot there, and it was a fingerprint. There we go. And so I thought it would be a good time to share with you all my process, because maybe you don't have a process. And I kind of think about machine maintenance kind of like your dental visits. You need to have 2 dental visits minimum a year. With spring cleaning, there's a little schedule that I like to that I put myself on years and years and years ago, long before embroidery machines were ever around, anything like that. And my maintenance guy gives me a gold star on my receipt every time I take my machines in to be maintenance, because he knows I'm so good at it, at keeping my machines clean and maintenance. However, I took a little peek at that bobbin box. I knew there was something going on there, and now I know why, and you'll see why here in a minute. So today, that's what we're going to talk about, maintaining our machines. Now, just a few facts from the pros for us to get started. They say that if you sew or embroider 2 to 3 hours a day, then you should have your machines professionally maintained twice a year. So 2 to 3 times a day of sewing for you is 2 trips to the maintenance for your machine, okay? And they said, if you are someone that sews or embroiders or does patchwork in the hoop like we do here with Build a Quilt, about 5 to 8 hours a week, so that's a little bit less than 2 to 3 hours a day, then probably once a year for maintenance is fine. And to be honest, I take my machines in once a year. I take the embroidery machine in at the end of the summer, like the end of September. That way, when the new quarter starts in October, I'm ready to go, right? I've had it professionally maintenance. So that's one maintenance session that I don't have to take care of. And then the big sewing quilting machine, it gets taken in the spring. In fact, it's going next week to get itself a little spa day for the machine, right? So that's what the pros tell us, and I agree with that. So as far as what I'm going to show you today, I do that at least once a quarter. And that's kind of the next thing that the pros say as well. If you're doing your sewing and all about 5 to 8 hours a week, a really good clean and a really good clean of that bobbin box, about once a quarter will work out good. If you sew more than that, or you embroider or do your patchwork in the hoop more than that, or if you are hearing clunkiness when your machine is working, or occasionally it's not cutting your thread properly, it's time to take everything off and do that cleaning of the bobbin box area. But when I'm talking about maintenance, I mean wiping down my whole machine, everything, because your room gets dusty. Wherever your machine is gets dusty, no matter what a good housekeeper you are, because fabric and thread gives off lots of dust, right? Fiber dust. So what the pros told me in regard to cleaning your bobbin box, the bobbin case, is after every project, or for me, after every quilt that I do, regardless of the size of the quilt, wall hanging, throw, bed quilt, I always clean out that bobbin box. if I'm doing smaller embroidery projects, or if I'm piecing a bunch of things, then every couple of times that I do that. So about every 5 to 8 hours of time that I'm sewing, I'll get in there and clean that bobbin box out. But the one thing you really want to, I think that is really helpful, is if you start hearing something funny from the bobbin case, it's like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound smooth and good. Then it's time to check out that bobbin case. It's going to be dirty, right? So that's the things that the pros tell us. And I actually keep in my notebook, I keep a little chart. I have the name of each machine, because I have my dream machine. I have a Stellaire, which is embroidery only. I have my brother Innova's Quilt Club machine, which is my big sewing quilting machine. And then I also have a little Singer heavy duty machine, and I've had that machine for years, like a couple of decades, and it still runs like a dream. And then I have a couple of really small beginner machines, because like kids come over and want to sew, or they want to think they want to learn how to do a little patchwork and stuff. We get those out. If those get messed up, I don't care, because I can typically I can maintenance those myself. So that's the kind of thing I write down. And then I assign each one of them a quarter of the year, 1/4 of the year, when I take those machines into my professional machine maintenance person over at a fabric shop that's about 2 hours from my home. And I let him just keep it for about a week, and he goes through it and makes sure everything, it's like taking your car in for the oil change and all. They go in and they check everything out, make sure you don't need a new belt, make sure you don't need, some filters changed on your car. That's the kind of thing they do for your machine. And we know that with our cars, when we don't do that, they start having problems, and that's why our machines can start having problems. So one more thing that the pros and I talked about was that cursed problem of the needle. How often do we change the needles? I know some people say, if you start hearing a clunking noise, clunk, 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 when it's sewing, time to change a needle. If you're hearing that clunk, clunk, it's past time, in my opinion, to change that needle. So after every quilting project, and I mean the finished quilting of a quilt, I change my needle. I always put in a fresh needle when I start piecing a new quilt. If I'm just doing regular machine embroidery, like maybe some freestanding lace, stuff like that, every 3 or 4 projects, I change my needle, because you're actually building up a lot of time, even though it might not seem like you are. So those are the kinds of times when I change my needle. Or, and this goes back to that what you're hearing idea. If you start hearing, or if your machine starts doing funny things, like it's not cutting your thread completely, if you have an auto cutter, or let's see what else. If you start hearing something funny, if you accidentally, your embroidery hoop gets stuck and you have to do a little fiddling because maybe it got caught in the foot of the machine, the fabric and all, and you have to stop it and cut that out and all that, I always change my needle then. And this is why. Because the very tip of your needle, which is the important part, or the shaft of the needle, can, with those kinds of what we would consider really minor, small accidents, they can slightly curve or bend your needle or the tip of the needle. And when that happens, you're just asking for trouble, right? You're asking for something to go really wrong and for you to have to take it in for not just a yearly maintenance, but like a major fixing, something that's going to happen that they're going to have to do a major repair for you. So that's when I change my needles, and those are the things I listen for to know. But like the other day, believe it or not, I actually got fabric caught in the foot and wrapped around, and I had to stop and cut it out. It's the first time that's happened. Oh gosh, 6 years maybe. I mean, that's a streak for me, right? It's probably a streak for you too, because sometimes that just happens. But I cheated. I didn't use tape to put something down and I got caught. That happens. So when I cut all that out and got everything, I then checked to make sure that there was like no strings hanging out of the bobbin in case that that were going to cause a problem. And then I changed my needle. And I went and grabbed the little microscope, the little magnifying glass, not microscope, magnifying glass. And I looked at the end of that needle, and the needle was pretty new. It had only been in there maybe 3 weeks. And sure enough, the end of that needle was bent. And if I had kept using it, I could have really run into problems. So those are the kind of things the pros told me. Now we're going to go over and look at my machine, and we're going to do a little of the maintenance that I do to my machine, a little of the cleaning stuff. I know you guys don't like doing it, but trust me, it's really super important, right, to do those things. So let's switch our camera over. And there we go. So I got this camera in here kind of the best that we can see. And I want us to look down here to start, because I've already started taking my piece apart. You know those microfiber cloths you get like with your sunglasses and stuff? I always lay one down, and I put whatever part I take off of this machine or any of my machines, I put on here. So I know exactly where they are. I know where they go, and I'm not going to lose them. And then you're going to need a screwdriver. Now, you probably have one that came with your machine. It might look something like this, or it might look different because every company, uses different looking screwdrivers. So you're going to need that, or whatever is your favorite one. This came with one of my machines, and I use it for every machine. I actually called the company and ordered 3 more of them from them because I love it. It really gets in here easily and takes stuff off. So for me, this would sit right here like this. And this is your bobbin window here, and you can pop that off to take your bobbin and put in a new bobbin, right? But on this, all I have to do is press right here, and this whole piece pops off. What I do then is I like to take a Swiffer, because it's lint free, doesn't cause static, and I like to open it up, and I just like to wrap it around my finger, and I like to kind of rub, and I use my fingernail to kind of get in these grooves a little bit. Now I will take out my little window here sometimes. Now this one is a little bit junky looking. It's had some tape and stuff on it, so I could take and wipe this down with a little water, but I can see through it okay. But I just wipe that off to get any lint off of it. Lay that down, and then I continue to do this part. And like I said, I kind of use my fingernail a little bit. If you don't have fingernails, maybe take the end of your screwdriver a little bit and kind of just use it to rub in those crevices and kind of get any extra dirt or extra lint and things, thread, any of those things. Because it's really odd. This piece right here, this is the little piece that clips this into it. I end up finding thread here sometimes. It's the most bizarre thing. I don't know how in the world it gets there, but I clean that off, and I do that with each and every piece. And then I always lay any screws down right next to each other. If they go together in the same piece, I lay them down. If I have another piece with screws, I lay them somewhere else because I don't want to lose them. And if I just set them on this top, I'll end up losing them for sure. Okay. So then after I've done that, I would also I've taken out the screws here on the plate. I'm going to take that out. Now I'm looking right in there, and that's a problem. We've got a little bit of built up weird thread going on there from cutting. And that makes sense to me because recently I heard kind of a ka-thunk. And so that should have warned me, but I knew I was going to do this video, so I wanted to save it so you could see what I see. Now, when we're talking about thread, I'm just wiping this down. Now, if there are places where there are oil and grease on here that is from the factory, don't wipe it off. All I'm doing is kind of wiping off dust and stuff. I don't want to wipe off any products that have been put there to help the machine run better. I just want to get off dust and dirt like that, any thread. So with thread, This machine is a dream machine, so it's a combo machine. I can use it as a sewing machine or an embroidery machine. Basically, it is my patchwork quilting machine. You can use, of course, either cotton or polyester threads, or lots of different threads in here. If you have a combo machine, it will be more important for you to clean out just the bobbin case more often because you probably use cotton thread in it more often. However, if you use mainly polyester thread, you're not going to have a huge problem getting it cleaned on that schedule that I told you about. Or if you use cotton thread in here, I always clean out this bobbin case after I've used cotton thread. Okay, now make sure that your machine is turned off. You don't want to accidentally electrocute yourself. And then I always come up here and clip my thread, pull out my thread. I don't want any thread coming down into the needle. And I don't want my bobbin in there, so I'm going to take my bobbin out, and it grabbed my bobbin case as well. That would be the next part I'd take out, and I always take and give it a little dusting. Now, I know how to put this back in because I know that white dot has to line up, so I lay this piece down right there, just like before, and I lay my bobbin there. Now, I can also come in here at this point and take my needle out and then wipe that out. But what I do now that I have everything off, I actually go around and in all the crevices of my machine with this Swiffer, and I start wiping it down. I don't use anything damp on here. This is all dry cleaning, as it were, but I clean it all down. Now, if I see I have a little tape or something in there, I might put just a little dab of something and go in there. And then I always clean it off with water to make sure I don't have any leftover glue and stuff. If I have any old tape and stuff on here that I've been using for my patchwork, I just pitch it away. Start fresh with everything. But I get up in here. Oops, you can't really see, can you? Sorry. There we go. I hope that stays. But I get up here and I clean all of this off. And then I come back and I clean my thread stand, but I clean all of this off, get all of the dust out, all of that. I come over and I clean off the face of my screen. I even clean down my sides. I wipe down my hand wheel on the side. I'll wipe down my whole piece. And then it's time to come right back into here and start cleaning this. Now, I always like to have my dustaways. You know that these are our product that we put out last year for cleaning. I love them. There are some others out. I noticed a couple of other companies have started putting their own version of these out. Good for them. But these are ours. You get 2 of them. The one like this with the ball head is my favorite. And then this one is also really nice. They're very flexible. They're silicone. They won't cause static and problems like that. So those are available at the website, Dustaway Machine Cleaners. And because it's a physical product, of course, we'll send that to you right away. Then I start looking in here. And can you see all of that thread that's gotten stuck there? Oh, no, that's horrible. So I know that I actually need a little pair of tweezers for this because my dustaways aren't going to pick all that up. But we're going to come in here. And then I use my Swiffer to put this in. Oh my goodness. This has, oh gosh, this even has a clump of batting caught in it. There we go. See what I just pulled out of there? Can you see that? That was stuck up in there. That's crazy. I think that might have happened the week I tried that one batting that I did. So all these big pieces of thread like that, I'm just using my tweezers. I'm not getting down into the workings of my machine, but I'm just pulling them out with that. Now I'm going to come in here with my Dustaway, and I'm going to get right in there. And with the Dustaway, I can really get in there and clean around in there. And it will pick up any extra stuff. And it picked up a little. Now, what I like to use You can see it really picks it up if it latches onto something. There we go. I like to take the one with the ball head, and I really get in here now and just wipe around and clean and I kind of put it down in there and see, it picked up a little bit of dirt, a little bit of fluff. There we go. But I get in here now, I see a little piece of that batting, but that's what's happened. A piece of batting got stuck in there and it started catching my thread. That was what was causing the problem, and I just didn't listen to my instinct and get in there and clean it. That could have ended up costing me a lot of money in maintenance because I could have easily had to have gone and gotten that fixed. So there's a little bit more of the dust away. And I also like to use, let me grab this. I also like to use just a tissue for cleaning this out. And once you're done cleaning, you can just run these dustaways under water in the sink and clean them right off. And then just let them dry and put them back in their baggie. Now, here's two things that are tips for you. Never, ever, ever blow air into these cases, okay? Because all you're doing is spreading the dust, the thread, and everything out into the other parts. Again, that will end up costing you a trip to see the maintenance man when you don't want to. No fabric for you that month because you're getting your machine fixed because of that. The other thing, to be honest, I don't like using these new little vacuum cleaners either. That is something, that level of cleaning should be something done by a professional when they have your whole machine apart, because you don't know what you're accidentally maybe going to suck up in that. What if I accidentally sucked up those wires or something that was really important? Maybe I would suck out a pad or something here. That can really cause problems. That's the kind of level of stuff you need to let the professionals do for you. And I just keep working around in here and looking. And with these dustaways, you can really just gently get in to all the little crevices. And that looks pretty doggone good. And it's not going to make those clunky sounds anymore because I got all of that. So I suspect if I had let that keep going, my cutter here would have broken and something would have come off of this, gotten caught in the bobbin case, and I would have ended up with an unholy mess there, and it would have been a real problem and a lot of money to get it fixed. But I've cleaned that out pretty good. I don't have any more dust. Now, I don't use a lot of cotton with this machine, but when I do use cotton with it, I shouldn't say I don't use a lot, but whenever I do use cotton, I clean this out right away because I'm afraid that it will accidentally it'll start filling up with dust. I clean out my bobbin case with my sewing machine a little more often because I do use cotton over there. So I'm just placing my bobbin case back in here. It's lining up there. I'm going to place my, whoops, wrong way. I'm going to place this back up here, and then I'll start putting it back together. And I found a little string there. And then I put everything back together. Everything's ready to go. I change my needle, and then I'm off to the races. And then I go back to my little notebook. Let's come back over to our main. I go back to my notebook, and then I write down everything that happened or everything that I saw and did. So when I write down about this one, I'm going to say, there was a piece of batting stuck in my cutter. You had heard a clunky noise to remind me that when I hear those things, I should check those things out a little more carefully. And I didn't on that one. Shame on me, because that could have really caused a problem. Okay, everybody, that's the kind of thing I do with all of my machines at every quarter. So when the new year starts, January, February, and March is quarter number 1. April, May, and June, quarter number 2, July, August, September, quarter 3, and October, November, December is quarter 4. So if you have one machine and you already have it on a maintenance schedule with your local shop and your local maintenance guy, then leave it. Don't change it. Leave it, because you're already into that progression. But if you've never done that, assign a quarter of the year to your machine to take it in for professional cleaning and maintenance. It's really super important. You will get a much better life. And trust me on this point, because I know some of you who are starting out with smaller machines, more entry-level machines, which work great for Build-A-Quilt because you only need that 5x7 hoop. You only need this hoop, and that's a pretty standard hoop with entry-level machines. The cleaner and nicer you keep it, when you go to trade it in to get a bigger and more fully functional machine that you might want down the line, because you might want to be using it not just for Build-A-Quilt, but you might want to be doing bigger embroidery projects, bigger freestanding lace projects, all that kind of stuff, then your machine is in really good shape. It's been kept nice and clean, and you get a better value for it when you go to trade it in. That's my the shop where I have my machines maintenanced. They literally look at the cleanliness of the machine, and they will automatically lower the price if the machine has not been kept clean and well maintenance, because they're going to have to put more time and money into doing that in the long run so that they can resell that machine. So keep your machines in good nick, everybody, as they say. All right, folks. So that is Wednesday workshop for this week. Next week, we will return with session number 4 of our panels and Build-A-Quilt sessions. And I think you're going to like how it's turning out. Mine is turning out great. Tomorrow is, of course, Riley Blake Day. We're back with Riley Blake Day. Do you want a sneak peek? This is the block this week. Time waits for no one. Some people call this the time, shoot, what's that thing it's called? It's got the sand in one end. Hourglass. There we go. Some people call this the hourglass block. It's really a quarter square triangle. Okay, so tomorrow's all about quarter square triangles. So if you haven't already, I will attach it at the end here so that you can click on it. Check out our video that's all about the quarter square triangle, and then you'll be ahead of the game for tomorrow when we do Time Waits for No One. That's going to be our block tomorrow for Riley Blake Day. Thank you all for joining me so much. Please, if you, I'm trying to find it. There we go. If you need your free Riley Blake Build-A-Quilt patterns, go to our website, sewincommon.com. You can also find our other products, our blog, and lots more over there at our website. And if you subscribe over there, you get the blogs and stuff earlier than everybody else does. And you know about like new patterns and stuff earlier, because once they post over there, they get sent out to, the information gets sent out to anyone who subscribed. So give that a try over at sewincommon.com. If you need to contact me privately, you can do so at support@sewincommon.com. Just reference in your little title line what it's about, and I'll get back with you ASAP. Otherwise, if you have a question about anything you saw today, please leave it in the comments. That way I can answer it for everybody, and everyone will get that information all at the same time as well. And if you've not done so yet, just take your little mouse over to that subscribe button and subscribe and become a member of the Sew in Common family. You got a lot of friends out here working with us with Build-A-Quilt who would love to have you as a new friend in this group. So please join us. Please like, share our videos as well. That means a great deal to me, because it really is what brings other people into our group. It helps other people find our channel and our page. So if you would like and share, I would be most thankful. Until next time, everybody, go clean your machines. You got a little time today. It doesn't take very long. Get yourself on a maintenance schedule. Keep your machines in good care, and they will care for you and make beautiful quilts with you. And together, you and your machine will sew life beautiful for a long time. Bye for now, everybody.